Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Productions. Today I have Bankrupt being joined once again by Aaron, and like always, Fluff.
Hey,
What's up, beautiful people?
In today's matchup, we have BT17 in finally. It's amazing, and both me and Aaron are playing each other in the first round, and we're both playing the Unison variant decks. I am playing Dripku as Aaron is playing Cooler. So, like always, just points down below. Feel free to put stuff down there, and let's get into today's matchup.
Both of these decks are pretty hyped. Bancroft, why don't you talk to us about what Drip Coup is trying to do? And then once that is over, Aaron, if you don't mind going over what Cooler is trying to do.
So, for those who aren't familiar with, I would say either one of these decks starting off, they're very unison heavy decks. So on the Drip Coup, on swing, you could take a life, search top 5, add a specific cost 1 unison from that top 5 to your board in rest mode with 1 marker on it. And then you like to play other unisons with the Empower to do cooler effects and so on up until the 3-drop Gohan. Which once you establish that, most times that should be pretty GG. Of course, green's a little bit harder matchup because you have the idea of dormant potential there, so you can't get as many attacks in as you would normally like, though. But ideally, you just want to get a very nice unison until you're ready to go for game.
yeah, the cooler deck is pretty much the same thing. It wants to control the hand a little bit more, but it's a lot of 1-drop unisons. It's a lot of counterplay and counterattack, and there's a 3-drop boss monster for cooler as well. It's the Golden Frieza. That is a dual attacking 30k triple strike that blows up the board when it comes in. The biggest difference between the two decks is that the cooler can actually establish some board presence. With the 4-drop cooler, that's essentially a 1-drop that makes you discard a card. And then I run a couple other things as well that you'll see. But they both kind of want to do the same thing, just keep playing unisons with Empower.
So here's one of those examples where, especially with Drip Crew, you want to swing first because you get the ability of just playing a unison. That way you can then pay 1 for the effect afterwards and then start having a good, strong unison. I feel like if you were to pay 1 first and then put 1 there and then you do the top 5, you may whiff. It hasn't happened to me yet, but knowing my luck, it's going to eventually. So it's always better just to swing first, just to establish a unison, and then pay 1 to go on top of that one.
Yeah, the cooler does the same thing. And what I found through the course of the evening is that sometimes, I mean, especially in green, not a ton of draw in this deck. Your unisons have a lot more like +0 or +1 draw card. None of the cooler ones do. And so I found that to be a little bit of a trap. Did you struggle with hand size at all over the course of the night?
I don't think so. I think I drew fairly well, especially this Vegeta on board, because once I've established a Vegeta, if I establish a Pickle right afterwards, it's a draw 2 for 1 energy initially.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can see. So I'm throwing these Friezas in the row because I didn't really expect for you to have any battle cards for the most part, and so I didn't really think that they were going to do anything, which kind of stinks because that's one of my main points of pressure as the game goes on.
Now, I will say we both kind of talked about this beforehand. This will be a very I think it might have been this turn. We're going to be kind of going back and forth at each other's unisons for the most part until we're ready to go for a kill shot. And I will say a perfect play. I'm not going to say on whose end it was, but a perfect play is about to come up, and it was probably the best thing that could happen to that player.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where like you kind of have the stars align here, and so this freezer right here. This card is actually like at first glance it doesn't look that good because it's like okay, it's a 20k that makes you drop a card, but for 1 energy, you get so much value out of these cards, and so this is where okay, so you played the Vegeta here.
Yeah, playing the Vegeta in response to the unison because I knew you were going to start just pounding into my unison and just clearing him out. And I didn't want him to go away just yet, so I just used it during the unison's counterplay timing, and you just had the perfect follow up. And
Yeah, I was gonna charge charismatic the next turn, and so when you laid that Vegeta down, I thought, well, now or never, right? Because I don't know how I didn't know if you ran the Gohan or whatever, but I need to get rid of these unisons. It gives me some sort of attack into your unisons, and a lot of the unisons in both of these decks are pretty low power. Um, so it's a pretty free take a marker off type thing.
Yeah, and there it goes. It's gone now.
Yeah, which is huge, especially for both these decks, is to get rid of these unisons. So, and then obviously, like this is why it's a big deal. Being able to board this Zamasu on turn 2 is just it's pretty backbreaking.
And then following up with a crit where I think that's why I have the 6 cards in my hand, and I'm like, I gotta take it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So here I'm in a very tight situation. You're kind of established, not only on your units with 4 markers, but you're still sitting at 5 live with a 20k and a 15k, and that 20k cannot be removed by normal means. Like you have to actually, especially in yellow, go like a backwards route just to get rid of it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about it that I like so much is because it gives me something really sticky because there's really nothing else in the deck that is. And just being at 20k to apply pressure just in the slightest. If let's say I run into some sort of aggro and I don't have dormant in hand and I'm losing my unisons, it gives me some sort of sticky body to stick around.
So if correct, I only have one unison, and it was Yamcha, which has a +0 for draw 1 card, which is really nice. Or I can just +1, put the 2 markers, and then pay 1 and go to another unison with the ability to awaken afterwards, be able to maximize my energy on this turn. But the question is, you got a blocker. No matter what I do, it's going to that card instead of your leader. And then I need to make sure, what do I do during your next turn? I need to hang on to something good or just have the energy I need to hold back.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why Homicidal Clones is so good in this deck is because it is pretty much some of the only protection that you're going to have, um, especially if tapped out and especially if no dormant, right? So everything, that's one thing and the little bit of testing that I had with this deck last night is that it can be pretty frail if you don't have dormants in hand. So, or
Now,
the Salza.
I'm going to say, you do have 2 dormants.
I do, yeah. Dormant was something that not something that I was short on last night at all
I think you're
in any
just
of my games.
securing yourself at a... I think you self-awaken too when you swing, don't you?
Well, I took myself to 4 with the clone, but yeah, I'll awaken on swing on my normally if I didn't. So
And here, I knew you could play things with good and power, and if I didn't swing to anything else, like if I swung to your lead, you were gonna block it. So I just say I'll just go to unison, knock down a marker. I don't know how much it's gonna do, but
yeah, and I knew that like the reason I didn't block is because I knew that you weren't going to be able to strip it of enough, and the clone being some sort of combo piece, I figured was worth the 1 marker off the unison there. So decided not to block. I kept waiting for some sort of because I mean this is the first time that we've put these decks on the table, obviously with the set being brand new. So I kept waiting for some like trickery. Yellow is so, and I got last week by Meki Kabura, so I kept waiting for something like that to happen. But you just had a pretty rough luck there with not hitting the majority of the unisons you needed.
yeah. This deck, from what I've seen, on turn 3, it could be pretty explosive because you establish the unisons beforehand, especially if you could also hold off on awakening until turn 3 as well. Then you could pay 3 for the SS2 Gohan unison, get the empowered, and you can do the -4, which boosts your leader by 5k. That gives the unison a triple attack as well, and it's like a 20k, I think. So it's just a 4 swings for 3 energy, then you can awaken to reestablish another energy afterwards. And it's also a blocker, so if you don't want to like fully dish out all 3 swings, you can just use the keep it standing for a block the following turn. This
Yeah, it's
leader,
interesting.
my leader has two activate. Sorry, has one activate battle, one activate main, and the activate main I pay 2. I put 8 unisons to the bottom of my deck, and it gains double strike and plus I think 10k, which is pretty sweet. But it has an activate battle where I can spirit boost, and for each marker I remove, it gets a 5k combo power or a 5k extra power for battle. It is a once per turn auto, unfortunately. But even though if I had low hand, I knew if you went for a game swing, I could potentially get, what is that, 4 markers? Yeah, 4 markers is what it should be.
Yeah. Is this where we were asking about
Yeah.
the unison leaving? Okay, so the cooler has an interesting rule here where whenever it says a unison is placed in your drop area, it doesn't say from play, it doesn't say from hand, it just says when it's placed. So Bancroft uses the black, what is that? What's it, Oceanus or
Oceanus,
whatever?
yeah.
Yeah, and so when I milled a unison into drop. And so we asked Jimmy, who was judging that night, and so rules as written, I got a free draw off that, which was pretty nice.
Just for clarification, we were going off the idea that Vegeta itself states when it's placed in the drop area from unison area. The leader does not specify what area, and I know that could be a little bit weird because, like, what if you discard from your hand and put one there? Because there is a activate battle port. So just for this night, and hopefully by the time this video is posted, we would have a better answer, or maybe that is the answer. So
Yeah, it makes sense. But at the same time, it's probably not rules as intended. But for the moment, it seemed pertinent. So
and you were, so we were talking about that. I did block one of your attacks with the one thing, but you swung again. I just took that hit. Here, I was going to counterpoint, and you reminded me that it's going to blow your field up. I'm like, maybe I'll just hang on to it instead.
yeah, this is the 3-drop Golden Frieza that KOs the board, and you can -4 on it, and it's in power 4. So when it comes in, when you tap 3 energy, it's coming in with a ton of markers. So its -4 is it readies at the end of turn, and it's a blocker, and it gets plus 10k and I believe triple strike, and it's already inherently dual attack. So this thing is, I mean, on 3, if you can clear the board, if your opponent doesn't have any blockers, and you were tapped out here, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, I figured it. Well, I got to go for it now, and you, like you said before, I had dormants in my hand, so I felt pretty safe. So I figured, well, I mean, I might as well swing out, and see what happens.
And like, I do play in my deck 2 of my own negate blockers. I just didn't see them. So here I'm now like no negates and seeing how far you can combo up just to establish what I need to do during my combo step.
Yeah, and it's cool that one of the other differences between the cooler and the Goku unison leaders is that the cooler can use unisons to combo with, essentially, on the backside, and so it's an activate battle, and so
it's not once per turn, like you can just do it.
It's correct. Yeah, you can just keep doing it. So it turns all your unisons into 5k combos, which is silly.
Very similar to the Dark Brawly effect from the old Dark Brawly leader.
Yeah, so I think I got up to like 60 or 70k here or something like that. Which, I had been pinging cards out of your hand for the first couple turns there, so I think that wraps it up. Yep.
Yeah. I just nothing. I was hoping to get a super combo off that last draw when the Vegeta went to the drop area. I unfortunately didn't get it, but what could I have drawn? Maybe the negate blocker, which would have came in handy in that moment. We never know because I didn't draw it.
Yeah.
So it was it happens. I will say both me and Aaron will be on camera again later this week, so look forward towards those matchups. And hopefully I perform a little bit better of mine, and Aaron still knocks out the park of his. Fluff, would you lead us out?
Right.
Absolutely. Super exciting time with Ultimate Squad coming out. Let us know in the comments below how your experience with Ultimate Squad is going. As always, read your cards, know your plays, let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to, and fluff out.